In Austin, I'm Adam Bennett. No Kings protests were held across Central Texas on Saturday. The biggest one was in downtown Austin, and it took place amid heightened tension and security, with Governor Greg Abbott calling in the National Guard. But as KVUE's Daniel Perot reports, it was peaceful.
Tens of thousands hitting the pavement.
This is what democracy looks like!
Rallying at the Texas Capitol.
There's no superhero that's going to be here to save us. Each of us have to don our own cape.
Before marching to Auditorium Shores, many held signs condemning the Trump administration, expressing frustration and concern with what's happening in this country.
If we feel something's not right and things are being taken advantage of, then it's our job as the people to speak up and let our voice be heard.
Others, like Sandra Benjamin, wore costumes or inflatable suits. She says she wanted to turn the protest into a celebration.
It's like a party, family friendly, and just have fun while doing what we do.
Despite the beating sun and heat, organizers say they believe more than 20,000 people took part in Saturday's protest.
It kind of gives me a little bit of hope and see a little bit of lights at the end of a dark tunnel that we're in.
That hope echoed by former Congressman Beto O'Rourke.
Big surprises coming out of Texas over the next 12 months, and you're getting a preview of that here today.
Austin police say the protest was peaceful and there were no arrests, a stark contrast to the first No Kings protest in June.
They're really out here for one reason, that's because they love America. They don't hate America, they love America.
Speakers urging participants to get involved in political activism and the upcoming November election in hopes of continuing the momentum from Saturday into the future.
But we've been up against some pretty tough stuff before and we've overcome it. So we are made of much stronger stuff, and we just got to remind ourselves of that.
Daniel Perot, KVUE News, Austin.
Protesters say the law enforcement presence felt smaller than the last No Kings protest in June. Governor Abbott deployed Texas National Guard members to Austin to respond to any violence associated with this weekend's event, but they were not needed and our crews did not see them on the streets. Several other Central Texas cities hosted No Kings protests as well. Our viewers sent us these photos and videos from Dripping Springs. People gathered in Veterans Memorial Park right next to Highway 290, and protesters in San Marcos marched on Hopkins Street. That's in front of the Hays County Courthouse. Well, Austinites will soon get a say on whether to raise the city's property tax rate. If voters approve Proposition Q, city leaders say it would bring about $110 million this fiscal year. Money they say is needed to keep funding essential key services. But if Prop Q is approved, the average Austin homeowner would pay another $300 a year. KVUE's Jessica Cha is at an early voting location in North Austin with how the proposal could affect residents.
In the city of Austin, there are two sides to every story.
It's harming small businesses, and our leaders need to consider that.
These are really important programs for people that don't have a lot of resources, and so if we're going to take care of each other, I think it's important to keep them funded.
And there's a split over Proposition Q, Austin's proposed tax rate increase. It would raise the property tax rate by 5 cents per $100 in value. And if approved, city leaders say it'll generate $110 million for this fiscal year. For Brandon Hodge, it would create more stress to small business owners.
And it has some noble goals. I just feel that maybe our tax dollars need to be doing that stuff already.
Hodge owns Big Top Candy Shop on South Congress, where he says rent used to be reasonable.
For the Hammond bar, that is $4.51.
But it's increased tenfold since the early 2000s, on top of everything else.
The price of sugar keeps increasing. The price of carbonated water, the price of everything keeps increasing. And so when does that stop?
Hodge says a tax increase would force him to raise prices and affect his staff.
They could cut into employee bonuses. It doesn't sound like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but that stuff's cumulative.
But without Prop Q, people like Bryden Summers says people may lose more than that.
The federal funding cuts that we've seen since January have pulled a lot of money away that was dedicated towards these programs that the city ran. And so now we've got to fill the gap.
City leaders say the increase would fund things like public safety and homelessness resources. And Summers, the president of the American Federation of the State and County Municipal Employees Union, says without it, vital services are at risk.
That's going to affect other programs in the city like parks and libraries in particular. I think the city will seriously start looking at layoffs over the next several years.
There are two sides to every story, and both think they're doing what's right for Austin.
Now, this tax increase would be permanent. Early voting starts on Monday, and Election Day is November 4th. Well, we're learning more about how a Travis County corrections officer smuggled food to an inmate and ended up with a contraband charge. 25-year-old Amos Nyanwe was fired last week. He was booked into the Travis County Jail and later released on bond. According to court documents, this all came out because another corrections officer was monitoring an inmate's phone calls. In one call in August, the inmate allegedly told a family member that an officer agreed to get him habanero mango chicken wings from Wingstop if he would send him $50 on Cash App. Investigators went back and looked at the surveillance video. They say that shows Nyanwe eating some of the wings and then giving them to the inmate. Now, Texas law says jail employees cannot provide contraband to inmates, and that includes food that is not authorized. When the Travis County Sheriff announced that Nyanwe had been fired and charged with bringing contraband into a correctional facility, she said she's disappointed that a corrections officer had made such a foolish decision. Well, the U.S. Grand Prix revved up at COTA over the weekend, and Max Verstappen continues to dominate the sport of Formula One. Now, he usually has a great showing in Austin, so why would this year be any different, right? Well, the Red Bull driver was in the lead for every single lap in the race as he chases his 5th world title. With this win, the Dutchman is now 26 points behind Lando Norris, who finished second. It was a perfect weekend for Verstappen, who secured pole twice and won both races. With 5 rounds remaining, he has firmly re-entered the championship fight.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable weekend for us. I knew that the race was, of course, not going to be super straightforward. I think if you look at the whole race, the pace between myself and Lando was really close. I think just in that first stint, that's where we made the difference. I could eke out a little bit of a gap, and that's basically what we kept till the end. It wasn't easy to manage also the tires on both of the stints, but we kept it in the lead, and just incredibly proud of everyone to deliver a weekend like this.
And the race isn't going anywhere. Formula One announced on social media that Circuit of the Americas will continue to host the U.S. Grand Prix through 2034. The current contract was set to expire after next year. Now, Travis County will cover the cost of the event through 2034 through event reimbursement funding from the state. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Adam Bennett.